For years, Kevin Costner has been acting.
Men who never give up, men who protect their family, their property, and their honor.
But now, the fights seem more like a movie and much more personal. After leaving the most successful television show from the end of his career,
Putting millions of his own dollars into a
hazardous passion project and figuring out how to do it. High-profile divorce that brought to light Costner finds every part of his finances.
himself at a crossroads that few people saw coming. For a man whose image was founded on this chapter of strength and confidence,
Feels unsure.
the cowboy who made his own story.
Linwood is where Kevin Costner was born.
Born in California and raised in Compton, but his youth never felt like it was tied to one place. His father's job as an
Electrician and head of utilities had to move around a lot. From Ventura to Visalia and beyond. Every time we moved, we had to start over. New school, new friends, and
the stress of beginning over. Costner has said that those teenage years made him less sure of himself. Years took away his confidence.
He wasn't
The center of attention by nature.
He was
The youngster who was striving to fit in again and
again learning to watch before he said. He wasn't known for being smart in school. Brilliant.
instead, he moved towards sports, especially soccer and
Baseball, getting things in order and clear.
on the field that he had trouble finding.
In a social way.
There were also traces of
Something deeper and more introspective on the surface.
He learned how to play the piano.
He wrote poems.
He was a singer in the First Baptist
The choir. Seeing how the West was won as a boy left a mark that will never go away.
The big vistas, the moral conflicts, the myth of the border.
All of it made him feel something. The West changed from being a type of music to of a compass within. At the University of California, he went to Fullerton to get a degree in business. Acting wasn't a clear goal yet.
He played baseball and joined a fraternity.
And seemed to be going toward a normal job. That course changed in an unforeseen way during a trip back home from his honeymoon.
Richard Burton was sitting next to him.
Costner had the guts to ask if someone like him could make it as an actor without losing who he is. Burton told him to give it a shot.
Him that he should go if he felt the draw.
Don't disregard it.
Costner subsequently said that short
talk like the time he let
himself to see a different life.
The early years weren't like movies. He
worked on fishing boats and as a truck
driver.
He led tours of Hollywood stars,
homes to people who were interested. He got
not much money as a stage manager at
studios in Raleigh.
While pals made sure
solid pay, he went to acting classes 5 nights a week. 5 nights a week of classes. He quickly took a career in marketing after
graduating, but it only lasted for 30 days.
He left security because the other option seemed more honest. The breakthrough didn't happen all at once. There were small roles that came and went, including as parts that were cut out completely, but staying with it paid off.
He learned about a lot of things from the untouchables.
A lot of people. Bull Durham made it clear.
His charm that appeals to everyone.
Then came the dances with wolves, which he directed and
starring in, which went against what people thought.
The movie won Academy Awards for Best
Picture and Best Director, beating out
tough competition. Costner became linked to quiet
strength, integrity on the frontier, and morals.
Belief. He had made up his own story. But legends, no matter how well they are written, built, are never safe from the storms that come after fame, failure, and the first breakdown. In Hollywood, the space between winning and losing are commonly in months. Kevin Costner had stood at the top after Dances with Wolves, with Academy Awards and having creative control in a way that most performers never get. He wasn't just a main dude. He was a director and a producer and a person who makes decisions. That kind of power gives you freedom. But it also invites attention. When things go wrong, you are the only one to blame. By the middle of the 1990s, his personal and the professional world started to fall apart around. At the same time, his wedding to Cindy Silva, his partner from childhood and mother of his 3 kids, was getting worse. They had made a life together for more than 16 years, and there was a lot of noise during the split. Later, Costner said that it was a failure of that. He felt a lot of pressure from his marriage. He knew that divorce entailed more than just paperwork. More than just paperwork. It meant that birthdays were split in half, holidays moved around, and a father not seeing his kids as often. For someone who cared about legacy, and that loss hurt the family a lot. He was also knee-deep in the making of Waterworld. The project was big, costly, and logistically messy. Storms ruined floating sets that are quite detailed. Shooting schedules got longer. The budget grew too much over what it was once thought to be. There have been reports of conflict between Costner and Kevin Reynolds, the director, came up over and over. When Reynolds quit the production before completion, it made the perception stronger that the movie was going downhill. Even if Waterworld did well in the end, better than many critics say it does around the world, expected, the story around it stuck. It became a simple way to say Hollywood too much. The story was no longer about new ideas or a show. It was about cost overruns and pride. Costner has a good reputation as a box. The office force started to fade. Then it came The Postman, another grand epic that Costner was the director and the star. He trusted in the story's emotional heart, not critics. People didn't like the movie very much and won many Razzie Awards. It's become another headline in a growing pattern, going too far. Confidence in the industry wasn't sure. Studios became more careful. The man who used to set the terms now had to doubt. In the early 2000s, he had a hard time getting back on track. Movies like 3,000 Miles to Graceland and Dragonfly couldn't get back to his old dominance. The feeling of being unbeatable was not there anymore. He was no longer the star of Hollywood. Sure to work. But Costner didn't retreat for good. Hatfield's in 2012. And McCoy's reminded people of his dramatic power and won him an Emmy. Years later, Yellowstone brought him back to life. Cultural presence in a way that surprised many. He played a rancher named John Dutton. Patriarch struggling to keep land and family against forces that are getting closer. The character felt like they were real, nearly showing Costner's personal struggles with identity, power, and legacy. But even as Yellowstone made his Comeback, history said something. Not comfortable. His career is stable.
Had rarely gone on without stopping. And shortly, the next break would start.
To show the egress from Yellowstone and the Horizon bet.
When Yellowstone first came out, not many
Thought it would become a
force in culture. But the series changed in just a few seasons.
Changed into one of the most popular shows. Dramas on cable TV. Kevin Costner, who played John Dutton, stood at its middle. A ranch father protecting
his land from political pressure,
business growth, and the next generation. Change. The role almost fit him too well. Just right. The myth of the West, the defensive
of heritage, the quiet power, it was everything that had made his career.
For a lot of people, he was no longer just playing the part. He was the embodiment of it.
But even if the show did well in public,
problems piled up behind closed doors.
The schedules for production changed
over and over because of shutdowns around the world and strikes in the industry subsequently.
There were scripts
put off. Filming blocks were rearranged for a series that needed thorough planning between the cast, crew, and big places in Montana. Instability caused stress. Costner had
already spent years on the job, and
yet another obligation grew bigger in his thoughts. Horizon, a story from America.
Horizon wasn't a sudden idea.
It
had been in Costner's mind for
4 decades. He saw it as an epic. A multi-part look at the frontier. Growth, settlement, and staying alive. It would not be one full-length movie, but
a long story told over 4 books.
Parts. He would direct, co-write, and make it and be in it.
This was not a planned business move.
Turn. It was quite intimate.
The reported budget was about $100
million, with Costner putting a lot of money into it.
Part of his own money.
That amount of money at risk was not common for a well-known star. When the last season of Yellowstone was broken into different parts of the filming,
the manufacturing calendar crashed straight
with Horizon. People were talking about Costner wants to cut down on his shooting days.
He publicly denied that claim, saying that he was ready to do what he had to do. His duties, yet he couldn't do his job.
In timescales that are always changing.
The story immediately got worse.
Reports
indicated at problems with founder Taylor
Sheridan. Costner said there were creative differences over John Dutton's future plans. He also talked about issues about contracts such as pay-or-play clauses and delays. Payment. For viewers, the leaving felt sudden. The face of the business was rapidly moving away from its last chapter. Costner thought it was framed as need rather than rebellion. Perception, on the other hand, is more important than explanation in Hollywood. Headlines focused on confrontation, not subtlety. At the same time, he was married to
Christine Baumgartner was coming apart.
After over 20 years. Divorce filings showed big property, like precious coastline. Property and complicated financial plans.
There was a dispute about court proceedings.
Lifestyle and child support payments. Standards. Costner's private life was once again. Life became public record. He had left a stable, well-paying job, said to have made him more than $1 million each episode.
He had put tens of millions of his own dollars. Becomes a 4-part epic with an unknown box
office promised, and he was on his way. A divorce that got a lot of attention. There was no doubt about the bet. The time. Definitely dangerous. Sadness, truth. And the weight of the West. For Kevin Costner, the American West has never been just a place for equestrian riding, chases, and big views. It has been a moral field. From Dances with Wolves to the History Channel and Yellowstone. The series The West, he has slowly changed from an actor to an interpreter of past. In his most recent project, where he is the storyteller and the boss producer, he didn't go to the border. Not as a myth, but as a record. What he found upset him. He said that almost every story he read had some kind of tragedy in it. Everything included some kind of catastrophe. Instead of applauding growth as Costner's simple heroics faced its darker sides. He said bluntly about settlers pressing westward, about native communities driven off of their ancestral grounds, treaties that were broken and cultures that were erased. He talked about how missionaries came with promises, then forced religion and identity. He admitted that towns were changed names, authored new histories, and violence is okay. He said that history, like athletics, shouldn't be changed to make people feel better. He says that in athletics, the score does not. Don't lie. In the past, the score has often been softened. One number that stood out. John Coulter often caught his eye. Called one of the first males who live in the mountains. Coulter made it across rough terrain, isolation, and a threat to life. Meetings, but his narrative didn't end in glory in victory. It ended in darkness and trouble. Costner found that pattern over and over again. The West wasn't established just on bravery. It was formed by perseverance, treachery, desire, and giving up. There were wins, but not many clean endings. Costner's description of these findings, it gets hard not to notice similarities with his own life. His career has followed a similar pattern of rising and settling. He has stood on Oscar stages and thereafter put up with public bad reviews. He made the movie Hidden Figures while having very bad kidney stones. Agony, linked to an foredrip, not wanting to stop making things since he had never didn't go to work one day. That obstinate reluctance to yield was like the frontier. He admires strength. His fight in court after the BP oil spill added to the problem. The leak adds another layer. After spending money on cleaning oil, Ocean Therapy uses technology to help people. He was sued by former Solutions employees, business partners who said they were lied to. The matter was heard in federal court. Costner won, but he made it plain that the name meant more than a quiet settlement. He won the case. He lost connections. Victory didn't feel happy. Business ventures came and went. A casino project fell apart into lawsuit. Other things to invest in did well. His money situation remained significant, although stable. Always seems deserved instead of for sure. Through it all, the story of strength stayed strong in public, even though private stress built up. Today, Costner talks about tragedy without making it sound romantic. He talks about the West as harsh, ruthless,
and
morally hard. He says that the best and worst inclinations of people, impulses frequently manifest concurrently in
Tales of the Frontier.
there are no easy heroes. There aren't any great endings. Maybe that's why the Western genre still has a hold on him. It looks like something
In his own past.
triumph came next.
By suffering, control, and then loss.
The land is still there. People change. It was never easy in the West, and it still isn't.
Has the life of Kevin Costner.
What's next? Costner has taken a chance with Horizon.
Not only reputation, but also personal wealth. The size of the movie shows how big of a deal it was for him. Fascination with stories from the frontier.
He has gotten his kids active in the project, casting his kid, and talking about the pride of being able to work with him. This is not just a job for Costner, a professional risk and a piece of history. But the stakes are really high. Things have changed in Hollywood. The market for there is no clear answer about big westerns. Leaving Yellowstone took away a steady source of revenue that is said to be worth more than $1 million for each episode. His divorce case made things more difficult for him. Money situation.
People's views changed from
Triumphant return to difficult leave. Costner is still defiant.
He says he follows
passion instead of ease. He says his name is more important than settlement checks, which pertain to historical lawsuits he wouldn't settle because he
place reputation over a quiet solution.
Now the question is whether Horizon will bring him back again or make the not sure.
He has changed himself before.
He has
made it through box office disasters and public criticism, but this time feels more serious.
Because they are dangers that you choose to take. 4. For decades, Kevin Costner played men who battled to keep their land, respect, and who you are.
He is now standing in a real-life
combat where the outcome is not known.
Not against bad guys or other ranchers,
but against time, money, and the entertainment's harsh character. Business. Do you believe Kevin Costner is taking a brave gamble with Horizon, or is he?
At this point in his career, he is gambling too much.
Work? Please share your opinions in the space below. And if you liked this deep dive, please make sure to like and subscribe for more. Hollywood's most famous stories. Difficult trips.